Okay, next one is like again G-bomb setup, a good look on a G-bomb setup. Okay, so this is the 12-degree angle front bracket. You could use that arch for your rear wheels as well, so these brackets are like incredible. You could use these front brackets for both ends. You could put them at the front and you can put them at the rear to get much more torsion or carving ability when you're going for a fun ride. When you're going for a serious racing setup, you have a different setup as well. Like you could employ something what you're seeing right here. So I personally wouldn't think of taking this arched front bracket, because like the bolts that you see here, under which you'll have some PU cushioning employed, I cannot buy them here in India. I might have to source it from G-bomb again, which would be way too expensive for me. So hence, if I'm going for a setup for a LDP or long distance pumping, I would probably go with this SDF Super Duke fork, okay, and a rear tail, probably which doesn't employ custom bushings, like a plain torsion tail. I mean, like not a torsion tail, but a tail. Okay, so this is again another setup for LDP. This is their complete setup. So we discussed bamboo setup. This one employs a different truck here. I want to show you guys. So this is a regular reverse Kingpin truck, and I did not open a different tab for this product, because like we have explored to the extreme ends of this kind of reverse Kingpin truck before. So these ones are coming from a family or a product, manufactured by a company called Randall. This one is of a regular reverse Kingpin truck, but with a shorter hanger, like under 180 mm or so. So these are of a very rigid aluminum, so they are good for long distance pumping and everything. But don't trip proppies employ something different when compared to any other long distance pumping trucks. Like there are another other companies long distance pumping truck as well. It's called Bennett truck or Bearnet trucks. Like they also employ this technique. I'll tell you what it is as we go through along the tabs here. So you have other types of racing boards employing various bracket setups with the torsion styles, which we saw here. Okay, so you kind of understand the idea, right? These arched brackets will also give you some energy to carve much better, and the rear torsion tails will also give some rebound energy for you to pump easier. Okay, so these setups are much closer to the ground, lower to the ground, gives you much more confidence to push or pump, okay, faster especially. And most probably these are designed for big size riders too. Probably it could take around 260 to 270 pounds of weight much easily. That's what I believe, because I want to ride one, and I've seen people in YouTube videos ride of such big size riders are pumping with the longboard, long distance pumping setups like this. Okay, and this is another company called Exile. They make two brackets. One as you see here, the other one is as you see here. So you would have guessed it probably by this time. So this setup, I'm sorry because of the internet. So this one is for the rear. So this is flat and it has a truck like this here. Okay, so this one is a rear. This is a rear truck setup, and you have the Kingpin and your hanger like this. This is also under 180 mm or something. Measurements are not visible right now here. Okay, so this is a rear truck. This is from the company called Exile. You mount this to the deck, which we saw before. You buy it from Boso, a company called Boso, or G-bomb, and we'll discuss the other companies direct, which I personally like. Okay, so this one is the front bracket, which we saw, which is similar to the design of the Super Duke fork. So it also has some angle, probably 12 or 13 degrees. I think it's 13 degrees. That's what they have given here. And you add some D-wedge and wedge of the riser pads, and mount your trucks, whatever that you want to mount it onto the setup. So good thing is, like, this has the normal boards and this has the gaskets and other spaces. This could be PU or rigid aluminum, So this is one company, Exile. And looking at the different long distance pumping setups, can also be a drop through longboard like this. Long distance pumping setup could also be something similar to a deck, which is used for downhill, like you could convert them, or you most probably they are like drop through drop down setups. It could be that too. You could use a drop down drop through deck to push a pump for long distance. Nothing wrong in that, but you may not get the efficiency that you would get on a proper setup like G-Bomb or Exile when you're using those brackets in the decks. So another company is called Pantheon. Their decks are like this, which is particularly designed for long distance pumping. This doesn't employ any brackets. You don't want to add any brackets to this setup, So this is long enough, which is close to 40 inches or something. So what you do here is like you just add the riser pads, which has some wedge or angled riser pads or not angled riser pads to this, and mount your don't trip poppy trucks straight away and put your wheels here. And a few of them would have cutouts if need may, for the wheel, not to give a wheel bite or something. Otherwise, you could use it with a double riser pads, wedges, and rise your deck much further from the wheel so that they don't give you a wheel bite. These setups are way too taller than the other setups that we have seen it so far. These could be flat, or this could have some mellow concave. Looking at this, does have some concave here, so to keep your foot. And most of the boards that you see here, the G-Bomb setups or whatever you are looking at with the Pantheon, like most of the longboard decks that you see here would have a length of close to 10 inches. 9 to 9.5 inches is very normal in the long distance pumping board setups. 10 inches, close to 10 inches. The rear ones would be around 6 or 7 inches. So this one, this part would be around 6 or 7 inches. And you can have various types of grip tapes that you want to put it. The one with the cushioning, the one which is like plain, or a spray paint grip tapes, and you could even use the black normal ones, so you have all the various options. So this one is called Pantheon longboard for LDP, long distance pumping setup. Next one is like from the company called Subsonic. Subsonic do have the similar setup like the Pantheon, which we saw in the previous tab, this one, and rest of them are drop down and drop through decks. These two are drop down decks. This one is drop down and drop through decks, which could be used for long distance pumping or even for your fun ride, So Subsonic. Now coming to the Don't Trip Poppies, Don't Trip company's website here. They have few products where you have the accessories as in riser pads, nuts, bolts, and etc., bearings and etc. They use Riptide company's bushings, PU bushings, and the flat washers, and they have the trucks. That's why they are called DT trucks, Don't Trip. And we're going to take a look at their product lineups. This is their Kingpin lineups. What you see here as a plain nut and bolt here, these are made up of aircraft quality materials, so these are their Kingpins. You could remove the Kingpin from their truck setup here. So this is called what do you call that? These are the Kingpins, made out of aircraft quality materials. So these are the spacers, you have the cup washers, and this is called a spherical bearing. I told you, they have a special equipment employed in their front truck to give you the ability to pump faster and move forward as fast as you can. So this particular unit, which is called spherical bearing, is going to help you more with that kind of setup. So they have the riser pads made out of much more silicone material. Like these are plastics, this one is silicone, which has more shock absorbing ability. These are soft, and they do have aluminum riser pads. So coming to the most interesting and important topic of the long distance pumping trucks, which is the Don't Trip Poppies truck. Okay, so you guys remember the videos of mine from where I show the reverse Kingpin truck and their hanger, or even the carver maintenance videos which showed the reverse Kingpin truck model of an carver, and which was an imitation by Oxalo. I would have shown the front truck which was almost like this, the bushing setup, I mean the bushing seat, like. So I also would have mentioned that when you have a Kingpin here, and you have your bushings here, and when you're going to pump this hanger, from left and right to a longer distance, there are pretty good chances like this hanger would move left and right, and this could have a possible impact on the Kingpin. This inner walls of this bushing seat could hit the Kingpin much more than you expect. If these materials are of a precision truck or a rigid aluminum or forged metal, like that could withstand those hits that you're going to give it to the Kingpin. As you see, the Kingpins are made out of aircraft materials, so they're going to be much more durable and stronger than the regular nuts and bolts that you find in the market. So when they're going to hit, these inner walls will get damaged, as you go for a long rides, So to avoid such damage of hanger being hit by the hit to the Kingpin, to take more hits or like ride much more smoother when you're turning them left and right, we employ this spherical bearings. This spherical bearing, you might want to go check on the YouTube how they function actually. So this inner component would rotate like this, like imagine this is the C section of the spherical bearing. It would rotate within this outer element. Okay, the outer element is going to be stationary, which is fixed to the bushing seat, inside the bushing seat, and this inner element that you see here, like the one with the carve and some here that you see here, this inner element is going to give a tight hug to your Kingpin. So it'll give you a tight hug to the Kingpin, so that when you have the hangers here, when you have the hanger here moving left and right, this bearing will move it for you rather than flexing the bushing and the hanger itself. This bearing will move left and right, so which will give you much more carving ability than restricting your motion as the hanger hits the Kingpin when there is no spherical bearings. So that's all the don't trip poppy trucks that you would find will have a spherical bearing that will help you ride much faster, pump much faster in the long distance pumping setups. If you would have asked me when I was designing my first skateboard setup in January of 2020, I probably would have said like I might like a longboard which is like a pintail longboard. Pintail in the sense it's something like this, a pinner, and having a waterborne setup in the front and a normal reverse Kingpin truck in the rear. That would have been my dream board or anything. So after learning about long distance pumping and everything, so I probably would say right now is my dream setup would be one of these G-bomb setups, like Rocket Exodus deck and front and rear brackets. Like super duper fork in the front and one of the torsion tails or XL rear brackets that you could mount over there, and that would be my dream board. Okay, so where we are here right now, we are talking about the spherical bearing. So that's the use of the spherical bearings in long distance pumping, how it helps you to pump faster and much more efficient than the normal longboard in the forward direction. So here's the specs of these don't trip poppies trucks, which are like distance between 170 mm to 150 mm or 125 mm hangers. These hanger lengths can be adjusted by these spaces that you would find here. You have 3 spaces, one in front and the back of your longboard trucks, and one bigger one in the rear. You could totally remove it and extend it to when you're mounting a bigger wheel, and you could use the entire length of the hanger, or you could just use the spacer and use a smaller wheel, like the wheel with a smaller core, and you have the degrees of the base plate here, 55, 40, and the rear is 20 degrees. And yeah, those are the specs of the Don't Trip Poppy trucks. Base plate angle is 45, 50, and rear the XL ones which we saw here, something close to the rear thing, it's going to be 20 degrees. Rear in the sense, like, yes, Don't Trip company also manufactures the rear bracket for this long distance pumping board setups. So this one is called Delirium. I could probably use this one too for my rear board setup. This base plate angle is 20 degrees. That's what they're saying. Okay, so it's all simple. Like, you remove this axle nut and kingpin nut, and you remove the barrel bushings. You remove another bushing, and you remove your hanger, and you'll have your bare kingpin in the center. So these are very pretty straight setups wherein I could find replacements in India. That's why I'm thinking of the brackets, something which XL also has, and as well as the Don't Trip also have, and all the G-Bomb also have, super duper forks. This is why these uses simple components which I can find replacement within India itself. That's why I'm preferring this setup rather than the complicated arch setup. Okay, so these are the rear trucks of Don't Trip Poppies. Much more closer look for you guys how it looks. So you can use these spacers to adjust the length of the hanger or the axle, for the type of wheel that you want to mount on that. So these are the riptide bushings that you would find. It has a much more bigger inner diameter for employing much more bigger kingpins, and these riptide bearings come with various durameter from 80A to 100A, and all of these are taller bushings actually. If you want the shorter ones, you might want to buy if you are having only shorter ones, you might want to buy two of them and cut them and adjust the size accordingly when you're employing them on your long distance pumping board setup. That's what I would do if I don't have a choice. I probably would get the normal skateboards bushings from piezo skateboards and cut them as I please. I mean, I could cut half of the barrel and put it under the cone to make it the cone taller, so as simple as that. So those are the inspiring long distance setup that I like, and I also showed you my dream board today, which is something like this, the completes like this. So this is what I want to pursue in the future as one of my serious thing, to make much more videos, interesting videos in my skateboard channel, and this would be my dream board actually. G-Bomb setups, or with the XL setup, or a few mix match setups from Don't Trip Poppies as well. And Srirangam is a river island. I've said it in one of the earlier videos as well. So when you have a riverbank running onto your left and right, people normally wouldn't think of building a swimming pool for themselves, even in apartments or even in individual houses or anything, so you have a very big swimming pool, which is the river which is running on either side of your small town. So there are no swimming pools for us to imagine ride surf skates there like Tony Alva or somebody. I probably would think of using a winch and ride a wakeboard when the river banks are half dry. But yeah, I could do that, but certainly I won't find swimming pools also if I have to properly ride a surf skate like a surf skate. I could do probably small rides in the streets when there are no people. This is India with 1.3 billion population. I'm not saying all 1.3 is in Srirangam, but for the size of the small town, yeah, there are a lot of people, and you'll find one or two in every street. So it's really hard here to skate also, but people wouldn't mind. They're very cooperative. But yeah, that's why I couldn't ride the surf skates much as a surfer would do, but I would focus and change my thing, like which I was doing it for a long time with my other vehicles as well, into this LDP, long distance pumping. I would want to make such setup one day when I can afford and go for long distances as possible. As much as I want to move to Canada and do all these things, till then, if I could do something here, I still want to continue doing that. So hope you guys could channel all the thoughts that I put into this video, and you analyze yourself. Like the engineers would do some SWOT analysis. You know, analyze yourself and try various possible streams of skateboarding within the budget that you have with you, and come analyze, watch a lot of videos, work in your head, brainstorm with your friends, family, possibly if they are going to support your coach at any sports center, and come up with whatever you like and what you like the most, that you want to do it for your rest of your life. Hope you guys find peace with it, and hope you guys do such things and make your sport and your skills much more better than whatever people are doing, or to the satisfaction that you could live your life much more happily. So hope this video helps you guys, and this is Kicha signing off. Peace.